JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Wednesday, July 9th, 9:04 a.m. Really quick rant. Talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P futures slightly in the green. Asia markets were mixed overnight, and then Europe markets are in the green this morning. I don't know if some of the defense stocks hitting highs. I think that's padding some of the gains. But needless to say, yesterday kind of like a lackluster session. Markets chopped around in a tight range. I think it was 0.41% on the S&P. In between bounce between gains and losses, and then a slight red close on the S&P, slight green close on the Nasdaq, and nothing of note, right? The VIX dropped 5%, so that was after Monday's letters went out, right? The tariff letters, and there'll be more of those today. You already have, uh, Navarro saying, who's saying, this morning that the letters are trade negotiations. So they're not tariff letters, they're negotiation letters. I mean, however you want to spin it, I think the market's becoming a little more numb to it, right? I mean, Monday's reaction was probably the surprise of the amounts, but then at the end of the day, you had the executive order extending the tariff situation to August 1st. So that kind of gives some leeway. So I will see how some of these letters come out here today. But Japan and South Korea, the fourth and sixth largest trading partners of the U.S. Those are probably the most important. And then outside that, you have the EU, which is obviously it's the number one trading partner as a whole, right? So that's got to get to some kind of resolution soon. But anyway, nice little chart here. This is on Market Watch. I love some of these factoids, I guess you would call them. But if you take a look at the amount of the stocks trading at the start of July, who are the best performers? The best performers are the worst performers from the first half. So, and this is on the Russell. So the Russell 1000, it's not even the Russell 3000. These are just a small cap index. So it's kind of showing that, are folks trying to reallocate the winners, bidding up the losers? I don't know. I mean, we've seen some of the names, especially over the last 2 days. Some of the names, like I was talking about Edit yesterday. Some of the bio names are going. So maybe that's a function of that too. But to me, I just hope it's one of those scenarios that helps put a floor or at least a bit into the small cap stocks. So that's kind of the overall market. S&P tight trading range, still think 617 to 628. We'll love to see consolidation. RSI is back under 70, so that's a good thing as well. And then this stronger U.S. dollar theme, weaker, right? I mean, it's everywhere now. It's like, oh, biggest. I was saying it yesterday, right? The worst first half of the U.S. dollar since Nixon and Bretton Woods, right? The whole scenario that everybody, especially the gold bugs, pegged their hat on. Oh, this is where the U.S. dollar was removed from the gold standard. Oh my gosh, and that was the big moment. And they've been clamoring about fiat currency for years now, and now we finally have cryptocurrency. So anyway, but I think that hopefully that'll start to change a little bit. Then also you read these articles and headlines, and people are talking about the U.S. dollar being great for multinational companies with multinational exposure, right? The U.S. companies, it's going to pad their profits behind the scenes. The current administration is really trying to talk the dollar down so that it bodes well for imports and exports, right? Our U.S. exports are less expensive when the dollar's weaker, right? If you're trading in the eurozone and the euro's up 10% against the US dollar over the last 6 months, that means the imports from the US are 10% less expensive. I mean, simple math, right? And then on the flip side, you take a look at the US dollar, could be a problem if you're a small cap company and you procure a lot of your supplies and things that you need to make your products or goods and services are going to be more expensive. If you need items from some of these companies, the dollar's less it costs more to get those parts, and not only that, you have tariffs on some things. So we'll see how this all plays out. I mean, you can't really make you can't make a case either way whether the small weaker dollar is good for small caps or bad for small caps, right? And any way you kind of swing, you can make an argument on both sides. So I just hope small caps can finally find a bid and go from there. All right, so that's kind of the overall markets. This small caps resumed their rally yesterday after the pause on Monday. I mean, it was down over 1% on Monday. Hopefully that continues. And last but not least, here's the US dollar. And the US dollar is in context of, I mean, this only goes back to March, right? So if you pull it back, I always try to do all the way back to 2021, 2022. We are not even close to those levels yet. So everybody calling for, oh my gosh, is the worst. It's like this whole story is created around the US dollar. And then you look like, oh, wow, you put in the context of where it's been over the last 2 years, 4 years, 10 years. I mean, it's been much worse situation. All right. So now that's overall markets. Just really quick on some individual names. Obviously, Joby's the first one I'll talk about. It was sitting, I think it was 10 and change at the open yesterday. 1040. I'm trying to remember where it opened. Yeah, maybe no, it was like 1070, and boom, right out of the gate, like a slingshot, all the way up to 11:45 by 9:45 a.m. Uh, my thought process in closing the last of my July strikes, the stock still it has a 15% short interest, and then you still have analysts who are kind of like on the sidelines or negative the name because obviously company doesn't have revenues. It's still it still has hurdles to get over. But to me, that's the market, right? There's risks. There's risks with Joby that hey, maybe they don't get approvals or that never comes to fruition in the U.S. or what how never drives revenue. I think we are much further from that scenario than we've ever been, and much closer to revenue generation, right? So because I think it's the whole backdrop of what's going on with the robo taxis, what's going on with you see Uber. So even despite all the robo taxi headlines, but the Austin with Tesla, and now you have Waymo in New York, and all those things that you would think would be a negative catalyst for Uber. You see Uber going, so it's like I think people are going to start searching for what's the next Uber or next play in this scenario, right? As this all plays out, and I'm like these names like the Archer. I mean, Archer a little different than Joby. It's similar, you look at Joby, I think it's just like the most logical next step, right? And it's one of those names that probably it's going to overshoot. So it's trading up here 1150. It's already had a nice rally off the lows from April, but it's had these swings before. But I think one time it's going to go on this run. And I'm hoping it's this time. It's going to go from 12 to 14 to 20 to 20 something, and then it will come back down. So. Uh, in lieu of adding more strikes yesterday, I'll just be a little patient here today. If it holds the gains, I'll look to possibly add those October strikes, still have the August calls. And again, I didn't want to be in a spot where I wake up to a downgrade and the stock's back at $10, right? I mean, so been there, done that. Do this long enough that it's just not worth the risk to hold on, especially as we get close to expiration. All right, so that's Joby. Finally, in GLD puts, gold was actually at lows about 7 a.m. Bounced a little bit here. Of course, the U.S. dollar is one of the points that typically, I mean, people talk about gold, especially if we go above the weaker U.S. dollar is always good, right? But now if the dollar starts to strengthen, maybe that is just a nick in that story. And also, if you take a look at the chart, it's been higher highs, higher lows for gosh since the start of 2024, and now you can make the case that it's like lower highs, lower lows. So if this next move to the downside, if there's a bounce and it doesn't get back above like 33.50, I think the case can be made that it gets down under $3,100. So I'll continue to look for opportunities to play more puts, especially if there's weakness here today, because then I think that kind of almost confirms the scenario where we have lower highs and lower lows, at least for a short period of time. That's gold. Roku got finally, well, Needham, the most bullish Roku analysts since its IPO, finally upgrade the price target on the stock from 88.50 to 100. Hopefully, the kick it needs to get into the 90s. Once it gets to the 90s, I'll look for the August strikes and continue to look to close some of my July 95s and hundreds out. Hopefully, those hundreds start to get close to a double. It would be nice. Trip inside session yesterday closed up nearly 2%. I keep talking. At some point, there's gonna be a starboard letter to TripAdvisor. That's how they operate, right? Their standard operating procedure when Starboard takes an activist stake is they're going to send a letter to the company. So whether that's they publish it, it's an SEC filing, an 8K from Trip. Hey, we received this letter, and then they're either going to ask for board seats, they're going to ask for a spin-off of assets, they're going to ask ways to extract value for shareholders, right? I think just that letter alone is going to send it to $20. I think even without that, I think it trades up near $20. And then you have the possibility that at some point they announce some kind of spin-off, and then I think it trades mid-20s, if not higher. So don't be surprised if I add more strikes on Trip. I got to lock my 17s in at some point. So the August I added on Monday, and I'll continue. September's I added, right? I keep mixing up what I got on Trip. I was thinking yesterday. Anyway, all right. So that's Trip. Really like to set up here. Lemonade, disappointing, right? It keeps doing what Reddit does. Big spike out of the gate at the open, like buyers pent up buying, and then it sells off for the rest of the day. The good thing, it's kind of like holding up, right? I mean, you have tight Bollinger Band set up here at 42.50. It's just a matter of time before this goes on the next leg of its squeeze. I mean, I keep saying that, and hopefully when it does do it, I'll be in the calls. So I'll wait till Friday to add more strikes on this one. Again, it's another one of those names. I keep thinking it's severely undervalued. At some point, the market's going to start to price that. All right. That's that. And then just other names. I was SERV laying an egg yesterday. Want to see that back over its 200-day moving average. Apple flat as a pancake yesterday. Needs to get going. I mean, it was 216 on Monday before giving the gains back. Hopefully you can get back over 216 in the next couple days. I'm trying to think of some of the other names I've been watching here. I mean, RH, week at the open, reversed, closed over 200, well, right near the 200 handle. That one's it's gonna have to get going soon. But At some point, maybe I'll add some more strikes there, especially as premiums come down. And I think that's it. Don't forget, earnings season next starts on Tuesday. So trying to find some names that might have some premium build into earnings. Obviously, I have Roku on the radar, but I'll start looking at some other names I might look to get some calls on. And that's it, folks. So have a great day. I'll be back on audio later. Rock and roll.